It may be almost midnight right now in England, but game one of the first round of the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs between the New York Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins is about to begin. So forget sleep, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to watch some hockey until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's go, right? But for those of you who don't know, I am a huge New York Rangers fan. Got my jersey on and everything. It's playoff time, baby. And obviously, the Rangers haven't been to the playoffs since 2017, I believe, where they lost to Ottawa, right? So it's been quite a while since the Rangers last made the playoffs. I don't know about you, but I'm buzzing. Let's see how they do, right? Let's go Rangers! So the first period of play has literally just come to an end, and the New York Rangers lead this game 1-0 after the first 20 minutes. God, that was a really good first period for the Rangers, huh? Considering they haven't been to the playoffs in half a decade now, you really couldn't tell judging by how they played in that first. I mean, from the second the puck dropped, the Rangers were physical. Igor Shesterkin managed to stop every single shot that he faced, and he faced some pretty decent ones. I'll give the Penguins credit. They did get some good shots on goal. They had some good opportunities. But whether it's Ryan Reeves throwing his body at literally everything that moves on the other team, if it's the kid line of Lafreniere, Heatle and Kakko getting a good chance, Adam Fox's beauty of a shot on the power play, hitting that top corner, absolutely incredible. The team's rolling after the first period. They got far more shots, far more hits. MSG is going crazy and it's so great to see. So let's see what happens in the second. The second period has just ended now, and oh my lord, what a roller coaster ride of emotions that was, eh, folks? It looked really early on that the Rangers were going to keep up their momentum from the first. A beautiful pass by Ryan Strome to Andrew Kopp in the middle of the ice in the offensive zone, just shoots it straight off his stick, past Casey DeSmith, gets the goal, 2-0 Rangers. But then for the next 15 minutes or so, it's all Pittsburgh. You can see that they have some veteran experience in the playoffs. They had such a dominant second period in this game. They managed to get a pair of goals. It was Rust with the secondary assist, to Crosby with the primary assist, to Jake Gensel for the goal, a pair of goals for them. And the Rangers had some issues with penalties and penalty killing again, on the penalty kill several times. But the good thing was, Chris Kreider manages to get a short-handed goal. There was a break for Zibanejad and Kreider. Kreider manages to put the puck in the back of the net, makes it 3-2 for the Rangers. So even though Pittsburgh had absolutely dominated the period, somehow the Rangers had a 3-2 lead. But then a couple of really quick penalties by the Rangers, a 5-on-3 power play for Pittsburgh, and Brian Rust an easy tap-in goal. There was two instances where Pittsburgh had tap-in goals, and it's a 3-3 game after 40 minutes of play. I mean, if things keep going the way they're going, I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh won this game because they've just been so dominant. Although the Rangers, they could bounce back. Let's see what happens. The third period is over, regulation time is all done, and the New York Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins are still tied 3-3 at the end of 60 minutes of play. Ladies and gentlemen, this one's going to overtime. Now, the first period was very much New York Rangers, the second period was very much all Pittsburgh Penguins. The third period was a completely different tale compared to the first two, as it was a much more even, balanced affair between these two sides. Pretty much for the first 17 minutes of the period, neither side really wanted to make a mistake and make that one crucial error that leads to the game-winning goal. Both sides really seem to shore up their defensive problems and their defensive mistakes from the second and the first and second period. Both teams had some pretty solid offensive chances that could have led to goals. Danton Heinen with a post, the Filip Chytil goal, which we'll talk about in a moment. However, Igor Shesterkin and Casey DeSmith, both of them have done such a commendable job in the crease for their respective teams. The fact that, regardless that they've both allowed 3 goals apiece in this game, it could very well have been New York scored several goals really early on. It could have been that Pittsburgh ran away with the game in the second. So both of them deserve a lot of credit for keeping their respective teams in this game. Now, the Filip Chytil goal. 3 minutes left in the third period. Filip Chytil scores on an empty net. Kaapo Kakko is running, or he runs into Casey DeSmith, whether it's through his fault or not. And Filip Chytil, empty net, puts the puck in. Would have given the Rangers a 4-3 lead. Would have potentially given them the win in this game as well. However, it was ruled a goal on the ice by the refs. But then Pittsburgh challenged it for goaltender interference because Kakko did make contact with Casey DeSmith, and it's ruled a no goal due to goaltender interference. Now, I would make the argument that Brian Dumoulin pushed Capo Caco into Casey DeSmith, and because the defending player had pushed the offensive player into the netminder, then there's no goaltender interference because it's the defenseman's fault. However, I can see why it was disallowed. I'm annoyed that it's disallowed as a Rangers fan, but thinking more objectively and not trying to not show my bias or whatever, I can see why that goal was disallowed, because there was very clear contact there, and you can very much make an argument for goaltender interference. Whether it was the defenseman's fault or not, there was interference with the goaltender, and then obviously you've got to look into the rule book and you've got to make a snap decision. I do find it kind of interesting that the Penguins have only been given one penalty in this game, whereas the Rangers have been given 4 or 5. Maybe that's just because the Rangers have genuinely taken more penalties, but there's been a couple of actions that the Penguins have taken that are a little bit suspect in my opinion, that, maybe some penalties should have been called there because the refs are clearly calling penalties. But regardless, we're going to overtime. The first New York Rangers playoff game in half a decade, and it goes to overtime. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cope with this. It means I'm going to have to stay up for another 20-30 minutes. The first overtime period is over, and it's still 3-3 between the Rangers and the Penguins. Very similar play to the third period. There isn't really much else to report. Nobody scored a bloody goal, so the game's still going on. It's 3:30 in the morning, guys. Please finish this game so I can go to sleep. Okay, what is going on here, boys? Double overtime's come and gone and nobody scored still? This game's been going on for over 4 hours by this point. It's 4:30 in the morning here in England. When is this game gonna end? And you know the craziest thing? DeSmith pulled himself from the game midway through the double overtime period. Louis Domingue's in net now. The third string netminder for the Penguins is in. He's actually played pretty well since he came in, but nobody has scored. Those players must be absolutely exhausted. I'm bloody exhausted. I want to go to bed, but I'm determined to see the end of this game, god damn it. I don't care if it takes until 7 a.m. in the morning for me. I need to know how this ends. Please win this game, New York. Make it worthwhile. I've suffered enough. And you want to know the worst part about this, ladies and gentlemen? The worst part about this game lasting for over 4 hours? It's game 1. This is the first game of the Rangers postseason. There could potentially be dozens more games that they have to play, and if they're anything like this, I am going to be a walking corpse by the end of it. I'm going to be a bloody zombie by the end of it. I can't imagine how the players feel. Igor Shesterkin, he set a new Rangers franchise record. He saved about 4,000 shots in this game. We've gone through 2 different netminders for Pittsburgh. Why is this happening in game 1? What's going on? They lost. They only went and lost, didn't they, fellas? 5 minutes and something seconds into triple overtime, Kasperi Kapanen scores the game winner against Igor Shesterkin, the netminder who had made nearly 80 saves in the entire game, second all-time in saves in a single NHL playoff game, and unfortunately the New York Rangers lose at home 4-3. It sucks that it ended that way. It sucks that, they lose game 1, and as a Rangers fan, it sucks, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. It is now currently almost 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to edit all of these little clips together and then I'm going to bed. And I'm not going to be waking up for quite some time. I am tired. I've been going up and down because of this bloody game and seeing all the chances that each team get. I'm editing this together. I'm putting it out. And then that's it. This game's done. The torture is over. Life goes on. Oh my god.